What's up, guys, and welcome to Press A Repeatedly. Justin Tomaso here with Christopher Gold.
Hey, everybody. What is that strange voice on the other end of the microphone?
Yeah, you're going to have to guide me a bit here, Chris, because it has been about a month since the last time I've done this, and I forget everything already. What do we talk about? Fine china? Canned tuna? I don't remember.
Ordinarily, it's playing video games with canned tuna.
Oh, great. Okay, two things I love more than anything in the world.
Yeah, combine them into one. What's the worst that could happen? Just peel the lid off and shove your hands right in there. Ugh, gross.
And then grab the controller and nobody will ever use that controller again.
Yeah, exactly. That's how you mark the controller as yours.
Right. I mean, some people will use stickers or something, but I guess tuna slime is a great option.
Stickers can get peeled off, Justin. Tuna smell never washes out.
Oof, that is rough. But yes, I am back on the show. It's been a very long time. I want to thank Chris Chris, of course, for taking the reins last week, but also Lewis for briefly getting hired as co-host of the show and then quite immediately getting fired. But you know what, bud? You were in there for a day, and we really appreciate it.
Yep, it was one of the most eventful single days in Press A Repeatedly history. But you know what? We're moving on to bigger and hopefully brighter things. Remains to be seen your job performance compared to Lewis's. I mean, Lewis knocked it out of the park. So, Justin, you've got very big shoes to fill.
I do have big shoes to fill. But luckily I have big feet, so I think we'll be okay.
I think you'll be fine too. Justin, what are we talking about this week?
Well, Chris, we are talking about cheating.
Cheating? You've been cheating on me?
Not necessarily. We are talking about the idea of using some hints and helpful guides to help you get through games, or some options such as cheating or glitches. But on top of that, also the idea of a game having a easy mode or any sort of assistance to help people beat a game. If you've been paying attention to the burning trash fire that is Twitter lately, some people have been arguing due to the recent release of Sekiro, which you guys talked about last week, that the game should involve an easy mode, and that if you play a game and you don't have an easy mode, are you a true gamer or are you a baby gamer if you need an easy mode? Just a big stupid argument that was spawned from this game, and yes, we are going to talk about it later on.
Yeah, that's going to be a really exciting discussion, because not only are we going to talk about, we've mentioned before our positions on, easy modes and difficulty options, but we're also going to kind of look at, it's called cheating. Well, what actually is cheating in a video game? How do you actually cheat a game that you yourself own and you can play however you want? So we're gonna, I guess, kind of dive into that and discuss that just a little bit, but that's not until later in the show.
Right, yeah, if you cheat at a game you're playing, who's gonna police you? Are you gonna punish yourself? I don't know. Torture yourself.
yeah, just ooh, I've been a bad boy.
I mean, hey, you can play your games any way you want, and you can have those repercussions any way you want as well. I mean, once you spend that $60, any way that you get through that game is up to you.
Yeah, you derive your own pleasure, Justin.
Yes, indeed. But as Chris said, that will be later on. We have a lot to get to in the world of video games. As I stated earlier, it's been about 4 weeks since I last been on the show, so I've certainly played a lot. But we'll get into my games in a little bit. Chris, why don't you kick us off here? And let me ask you, what are you playing? What are you playing?
Justin, I'm glad you let me kick off first, because I haven't been playing all that much. So
Understandable.
yeah, so I've pretty much just been playing Smash Brothers lately. I've been going more through the World of Light. I finally made it to the final boss. Uh,
Wow.
Yep, yeah, I am at Galim. So I've gone through, I've unlocked a ton of characters. I'm using the strategy that everyone told me that I should have been using the entire time to unlock fighters. Play the World of Light for 10 minutes, hop out, unlock a character, then hop back in, and just
Yep.
repeat that process over and over. So I've unlocked a lot of characters. Not all of them, not Luigi just yet, but I'm getting to him.
Now he's one of the last ones I unlocked too. I don't know why they made him like one of the toughest to unlock, and in World of Light he's like one of the last characters that you save. I don't know why.
Well, you know what? Because they're saving the best for last. They want you to be
Yeah,
like, you
yeah.
want Luigi? You gotta earn Luigi. Everybody wants Luigi. You can't just give Luigi away.
Positive that is the case. Yeah.
It's what we tell ourselves at night. But yeah, no, I'm very, very close to actually beating the World of Light now that I'm at the final boss. I fought him a few times. He's very, very tough. With Yoshi, I'm able to like whittle him down to like he's probably got maybe like a quarter health left, maybe a little less, and then all of a sudden it's almost like Galeem is like, oh right, I just have a win move, and he just like he just makes the screen like flash or whatever, and Yoshi goes flying, and he's like just at the edge of the screen, and I'm like, oh fine, I'm alive, and then he flashes the screen again, and Yoshi's just dead.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, cool. So I got to figure out how to dodge that, but I'm getting through it. I'm very, very close. I've unlocked a ton of characters so far.
How confident are you that that really is the final boss, and there won't be another like extra world or extra fight after that?
Was pretty confident until you said that.
No, so I haven't I haven't beaten World of Light on my own yet. So you're farther than I've gotten. I did work on it with Butch when he was playing, but he played a lot of it while I was at work or not around. So I didn't see him fight Galeem, and I don't know if that was the final boss or if there was more. So honestly, yeah, I don't know.
Right. Well, all roads seem to point to Galeem being the final boss. Now, I will say though, I've gone through the World of Light as much as I can, and I've opened up all the areas, I've unlocked all the areas that I could, except for one area, and that is like this the icy region up in like the northwest of the map. There's a lot of ice that kind of blocks your path there, and there's a little cloud that's right there, and it's between the ice paths and where Galeem is. And it's just got that whole area coated. Now, I don't know what's there. I've tried getting there. I've tried unlocking different spirits and roaming around the map trying to get there in any way I possibly could. I don't know how to get to this last area. So I don't know if maybe once I beat Galeem, then I can get there more easily and figure out, hey, what's hiding here. But
Yeah.
right now I've got most of the map uncovered. All the fighters who were on the map that I could uncover, I have uncovered and I've unlocked. So yeah, I'm making really good progress. There's a few people left to get out, including Luigi, but I'm getting there. And yeah, I'm feeling very good about my personal skill level in the game, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, well, I mean, we were playing a couple days ago, and of course we had some pretty great epic battles. I was getting very frustrated.
Yeah, well, it was last week. We were over at Nick's. We were watching the Phillies game, and then I had a lot of self-destructs that night. Like, I was killing myself left and right.
Yeah.
Really shooting myself in the foot. And especially against you and your brother, that's extremely dangerous because like I can't let you guys have any advantages whatsoever because you pounce on those. Like, yeah, it's so frustrating.
Yeah, and Yoshi's air moves seem to do way more damage in this game than they've done in any of the prior Smash Bros. And normally when I'm playing, I like to be up in the air and
Hmm.
doing kicks and stuff and jumping around. But playing you on stages, especially that have platforms, I really gotta watch my guard because you were juggling me a bit and
Hmm.
just kind of knocking me all around. And yeah, it was. I mean, they were great matches, but definitely at the you're at the edge of your seat, shaking the controller.
Yeah, though Yoshi's always been very strong with his air attacks. Oh, that's all I gotta do. I gotta get people up in the air, and then once you're up there or I'm up there, then yeah, that's where I'm most dangerous. How many times have you guys like hit me way up high in the air, and then out of nowhere, there's the butt stomp from the heavens, and I
Oh,
just come sailing down and just boom, just killing people. Although I've got to be very careful with using that in this game because the butt stomp didn't always used to go through those like flat platforms, but now
yeah,
it automatically does. So I have to watch out if I'm using that move on a platform that's over the air because Yoshi will go through that and he will fall to his death.
yeah. And you were using that butt stomp pretty close to the edge of the map a couple times too. It was giving me a little nervous, and I think once or twice you actually fall off the map using that.
Yep.
But hey, no risks, no reward, right?
Yeah, high risk, high reward. But yeah, it's a fun game. I'm having a blast with it. I almost got everybody, but yeah, we'll have to see.
Are you Yoshi pretty much all the time when you're playing World of Light?
Yeah, yeah. As soon as I
Really?
Yeah, as soon as I found Yoshi, I was like, oh yeah. Like up until I found Yoshi, I was struggling a bit because I was like, oh, do I beat Pac-Man? Do I beat Donkey Kong? I was never Mario because I'm not that great with Mario, to be honest. So I
Yeah.
was like, okay, do it be Wii Fit Trainer, Inkling? I was like, and then I found Yoshi, and I was like, ooh. So I unlocked him, and after that, the World of Light just became a breeze. Like 90% of the time. I won't say it was all a breeze because there were some matches there that I swear were as hard as any fight in Sekiro. But but I got through them, and yeah, I've been Yoshi pretty much ever since I unlocked him.
Yeah, I was normally when I was playing World of Light, I was using Pac-Man a lot. He's one of my like second faves, and but I use him for everything. A lot of those fights where if it's like a multi-man or you got to kill like I don't know like 15 people that keep coming at you. I would switch to somebody a lot stronger, like Donkey Kong, or somebody that can take a lot of hits and deal a lot of damage and kill those guys fast. Um, but yeah, I would kind of bounce around here and there. I went on a run with Captain Falcon for a little while too, and I was actually getting pretty good with him and feeling pretty comfortable. So I guess it's a cool way to experience some of the other characters that I don't normally play too much in multiplayer.
Right. Yeah, no, I stuck almost exclusively with Yoshi.
Gotcha.
All right, so that was basically me. I really haven't had a chance to play really anything else. Haven't dove back into Sekiro. Elena and I didn't get a chance to play Yoshi a little more, so that's really it for us. Us for me. There's only one of me. So Justin, I'm going to throw it right back to you. What have you been playing?
Okay, so like I said, I've been playing a lot since the last time I was on. I'm gonna touch it all. I'm not gonna talk too much about one game. I'm gonna try and kind of breeze through most of this list.
Take your time, man.
But let's see. I actually wrote down a list because I played so much.
Just pulls out like a huge scroll. Let me see. And it
Yeah,
just like goes just goes
rolls down
unfurling.
the hallway. Let's see. I will start with the newest game of this list. I'm not sure if you heard of this game, Chris, but I picked up and started playing Mechstermination Force last week.
I have heard of this game. I've seen you tweeting about it.
That's right. So Mechstermination Force, it's a side-scrolling boss rush game made by Bertil Horberg, who is the Swedish developer who made the Gunman Clive games that I love so much.
Oh, okay. So there's the appeal.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's a ton of fun. It feels like kind of like a mashup of, I guess you could say, Gunman Clive, obviously, but also the boss rush mechanics of Cuphead, and maybe some Contra in there, like old school Contra, because a lot of the players that you can play as look like the main characters from Contra. You get a lot of guns that are like in Contra, like there's a scatter shotgun, there's like a flamethrower, there's a laser bomb gun.
Nice.
Yeah, and they're all pretty rapid fire. It's actually super addictive and definitely challenging. How each boss fight works is, you're fighting these giant mechs. The story is there's a war against the mechs, and there's a general who has a team of soldiers that are ready to fight the mechs. But conveniently, all the soldiers are like hurt. Like one guy like twisted his ankle, or one guy, I don't know, didn't get enough sleep last night, so he can't fight today. Like, it's pretty comical in the writing. So you are the only soldier that can fight, and there's a little town in between each fight. It's like your army headquarters, where you can talk to some people. You can go to a weapons store, and you the shopkeep's name is Mr. McShopkeep.
He was born to do this.
Pretty great. Oh yeah. So you can purchase upgrades from him. You can increase your life bar. You can get a temporary life bar. Additions like remember in Breath of the Wild when you can cook some meals that give you those yellow hearts that they don't last forever, but they'll last for like one.
Oh yeah,
they'll be there until you get hit.
Yeah, like temporary hearts.
Yeah. So you can get them. You can buy better guns there. Just to upgrade your main guy. And it's cool because I bought the Gunman Clive collection on the Switch. I unlocked Gunman Clive as a playable character in Mechstermination Force.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a nice little Easter egg.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So I'm playing the game as him. And each fight is really unique. These mech monsters are really pretty awesomely designed. Some of them are like there's a giant mech snail that you fight, or the tanks. These giant mechs. Like there's one guy that's climbing. He's like climbing up two buildings at once. Like it's a building on the left and a building on the right, and you're basically like climbing him as you're fighting him up the building.
Oh shit!
So you kind of have to hang on to him or climb on the walls of the building and try not to fall as you're dodging attacks and shooting him. So like, there's definitely a lot going on at once.
Sounds really hard.
Yeah. Bertel himself has compared the game to a little bit of Contra and a little bit of Shadows of the Colossus, because you're fighting these giant mech monsters, and a lot of them you have to physically climb up and hit certain weak points to start breaking them down.
Yeah.
Each boss fight has like stages. Some of the mechs, like once you hit all the weak points in one stage, he'll transform into a different stage with a whole different moveset, and you have to take them out, and it's a lot of pattern recognition and just dying and learning, a lot like old school Mega Man games.
Right.
You're dying a lot, but you're recognizing what you have to do. You're learning how to dodge certain attacks, and with each attempt, you're getting a little bit farther, whether it feels like it or not sometimes. Because I remember early on there was one fight I was just dying so many times, and I was getting so frustrated. But I was getting like a little bit farther each time, so I was like, all right, I know I'm getting there. I just have to keep like working at it here. And it took me a while, but I finally did beat that. And of course, you get that awesome rush of victory.
Yeah.
It's funny, you guys were talking about Sekiro last episode, and I was like, you know what? I'm kind of feeling it this way too, playing Mechstermination Force, because some of these fights
Yeah.
are just crazy. And when you come out on top, when you see that final explosion, man, you get so riled up.
Man, I've had that feeling before with so many games. I mean, hell, even just like throwing it back to Smash Brothers
Yeah,
when I talked about like some of those fights where it literally felt like a Sekiro boss fight almost, where I was just going in and I was dying over and over and over again, and eventually I like just somehow overcame and beat the level as soon as the last guy died. You see victory. I like dropped to my knees one point. I was like, "Yes, like, yes, thank you." Like, oh, it's the
yeah. Oh
best
man,
feeling in the world.
it's just that like, all right, recognition of putting a lot of work and time into this, and I'm finally getting the outcome I want, and it feels pretty great.
Yep, always a good feeling.
Yeah. So yeah, Mechstermination Force is awesome. I think there are 14 mech bosses to beat in the game, and I think I got up to 9. And I haven't played it in a couple of days, but that's where I'm at right now. And the weapons are awesome. The controls feel great. It's a lot of fun. So if that kind of style of game suits you, I strongly urge you to go investigate it. And it's only like $12, I think, which is a really great deal for a new game that just came out. That's made by a pretty established developer. So definitely check out Mechstermination Force.
Yeah, that's a really good deal.
After that, I don't know if either of us have done this before, but I went back to an indie arcade game from the past and played it and beat it.
Oh, oh, dang! All right. So you finally wooed your horse prince.
That's not the game I was quite thinking of, actually. Yes.
All right. So, which game did you actually play?
I finished Wandersong last week.
Oh, nice.
I loved this game, and Chris, you and I have been doing this for a long time. I've known you for almost 2 decades at this point, which is kind of scary to think about.
Oh God, we're getting old.
Yeah, we are. This is a game you would absolutely love, and you really need to pick this up and play it. It's such a cool, unique, like just special experience. It's just so. It's a very positive game. You don't really see that a lot, I guess, nowadays. It's just a very like a feel good story, and it's just has this very positive overtones that like really get you like, jazzed up, like, oh, you can do this kind of thing, like, let's work together, let's be happy here.
Yep.
And some might say it's corny, but like I was kind of looking past that and just kind of really enjoying the story overall. It's definitely a special experience. The developer, Greg Lobanov, he certainly put a lot of work into this. This was a Kickstarter game from a few years ago, and it's funny. After I beat it, I looked up the Kickstarter and saw the progress videos and saw how much the game changed from back then to the actual final product. And it's really impressive. It shows the amount of work that they do, after getting that funding, towards the game. So that was nice to see. When I played it for Indie Arcade, one of my complaints was that the singing gameplay, it's not really that fun. It's a little boring.
Mm-hmm.
And it is and it isn't, because it's not a very action oriented type of gameplay.
Right.
But what they do with that control system with the singing, especially later on in the game, and each level you kind of go through, is very creative. You're not just singing; you're also moving objects and platforms. You're controlling the wind direction. Just like a bunch of really clever ways to use that singing system. And I definitely took note and was really enjoying that a lot.
Right. So it's like a puzzle platformer. kind of.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of the way that Gris was for me when I played that. It's not a game that you would say is like really challenging, or yeah, you have to fight like a lot of different enemies or anything like that. It's just a way to like you have to figure out how to navigate the world, use whatever moves are at your disposal, figure out how the world works, and then just kind of go from there.
Yeah, it was funny, and it was like right at the point where I was like, all right, I get what they're doing here. I like it, but it's a little boring. I wish there was a little more action. Like right after I said that, I think it was like right after we recorded that episode or whatever. Like the very next scene of the game was like this little intermission where you play as a different character, and this character is a very much atypical like sword and shield hero character. So you have a whole move set using the same like kind of singing control scheme, but instead of singing, you're actually attacking with the sword and shield
Oh
and
dang!
charging up these like laser shots and stuff, and defending and fighting like a boss battle. And like I just did not see that coming out of nowhere, and I thought that part was so awesome, and it kind of just opened the gates to what else was possible in and upcoming in the game. And after that, the few other worlds that you visit, the gameplay kind of changes and gets pretty unique. Like there's one town where you have to. There's a whole clock system involved where you have there's a continual time running above the screen, and let's say you have to meet somebody at the cafe at 9:30, so you have to be there actually at 9:30 in the game.
Okay.
You can like sit on benches or go to sleep to pass the time, get to where you need to be. And then after that, you're flying around on a broom in a world map, and kind of going back and forth between these two kingdoms that are having a huge battle against each other.
Oh my god.
There are more actual boss fights that you do use your singing abilities for, where it's not exactly you fighting them, it's someone else is fighting them, but you are like assisting by moving stuff around. Like
Oh,
it's super clever. Yeah.
that's very clever. So you're like the support character, but you're also the main character.
Yeah, it's great. The dialogue is really well written. The characters start to get pretty fleshed out. You start to care about them a lot towards the end. It kind of has this whole theme of unity that was really nice to see and pleasant. And just a really cool, colorful visual presentation. I don't know. I can't really say much more great things about it. It's definitely a fun experience. It's on Switch. I can't think it was 1999. And Chris, knowing you, I think you'd really like this game as well. And if you're looking for something to play, definitely pick it up.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out. Part of the reason why I had assigned the game to you was because the game had caught my eye personally, and I was sort of like, oh, I wonder what this game is like. And besides, I kind of owed it to you after the ration of shit that I'd given you in the arcade lately. So I was like, you know what? This game is very critically acclaimed. It's something that I'm personally interested in. And why not let Justin have a go with it? See how it is. And I'm really glad that your opinion of it. I mean, your opinion of it, I feel like was very positive when you initially reviewed it for Indie Arcade. But I'm glad to hear that it's even more positive, even than it was then.
Yeah, and what else is interesting about the game is that it's pretty long for an indie game. I think I put around like 10 or 15 hours into it when I all said and done.
Oh, really?
Which I was not expecting. There was times where I was like, wow, like how much more is left? I can't really believe how long this is taking. But it wasn't like a chore or anything. I was just genuinely surprised about the length of the game.
Right.
Definitely worth its value. A super unique experience that was a ton of fun for me, and I suggest you pick it up.
All right, awesome. Yeah, duly noted. Sir, what else you got?
Yeah, so that was Wandersong. Let's see. Next on my list is we were playing some more of For the King. We've played this, or we've talked about this a few times on the pod, but I think it's good to bring up because For the King is coming to consoles pretty soon, in early May, in fact, and that includes the Switch. If you don't remember, For the King is the kind of top-down, almost like board game style RPG, kind of in the likes of Dokapon Kingdom.
I remember what For the King is. I'm
Yeah,
very upset that you didn't invite me to play For the King, Justin.
Well, the parties are 3 players max, and there was me, Butch, and Zool just kind of started playing one night.
Okay. You couldn't just exclude Butch for one of those nights.
Nope, could not do it. Sorry, bud.
Well, that's fair.
Well, the good news is Iron Oak Games, the developer, has been putting a lot of content out for this. It was just officially became released not that long ago. It's been in early access for a while.
Right.
But there's a ton of new modes and stuff that we haven't even checked out yet. New characters, new items, like new graphics, new gameplay systems. They fixed a lot of bugs. They've really been working hard in this game, and I'm really excited that it is coming out on the Switch, because that's something that we can all kind of pick up and play wherever, whenever.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So, yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. We were playing this mode where you are in like an endless winter area, and every turn you're taking frozen damage.
Mm-hmm.
And basically we have to kind of explore and save a few towns that are under attack, and get to like the root of all the evil, which is like in some very high level cavern.
Right.
Yeah.
What class was your character? What class was everyone?
I was playing as one of the new characters, which is the herbalist, and her special skill is that she can use the game's healing items for the entire party instead of just herself.
Oh, okay.
So God's Beard is like the potion in the game, and I can use one, and it would heal everybody in the party instead of just me. So that was super.
That's
handy.
Really, really handy, especially for a game as hard as For the King. Yeah, that's huge.
Oh yeah. Zool was playing as the Beastmaster, I believe, and he was basically our tank. And yeah, he later on in the game, he got these upgrades that just made him pretty much unstoppable. He was doing so much damage and not really taking any. He was just kind of laughing along as we were all, me and Butch were struggling.
That's Zool. Like, he always somehow manages to get the tank characters just become like an unstoppable force.
Butch was playing as the minstrel or the bard, I believe. And,
okay, nice.
Yeah, he's a support character. He had some pretty sweet moves, playing his lute, and he was eventually buffing him up to be pretty strong as well. So
yeah,
we haven't beaten it, but we've gotten pretty close, and maybe we'll wrap it up next time we play it.
All right, awesome. Yeah, I remember when you, me, and Nick were playing. I was the bard character, and that was a ton of fun because I had never played any sort of bard type character in anything before, and it was great because like I had my lute and I was like dropping on my knees and being like, ding, and things were like exploding as I was riffing, and I was like, hell,
bones flying,
bones flying all over the place. I was like, hell yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah, but yeah, overall, it's a great multiplayer game. Definitely a fun experience if you're looking for something like that. Check it out. Tons of modes to play. Great challenge. A lot of fun. Awesome presentation. Really cool, like polygonal kind of diorama, pop-up book style graphics. It looks great. That's For the King by Iron Oak Games on Steam now, coming to consoles in May. Check it out.
Boom.
Yes.
That is the PAR promise.
Let's see. The next 2 games I played, I went a bit retro. I brought up the Nintendo Switch Online, and first I loaded in Star Tropics for the NES. Only because I never played it. I've always known about it. I've heard it was a pretty solid NES game. But I never experienced it myself, so I figured I'd just give it a shot.
Yeah, likewise. I've never really played it myself either. What's it about?
So I didn't know this. It was developed by Nintendo, so it actually is a Nintendo first party.
Huh.
Um,
How
yeah,
about that?
it was pretty late in the NES life cycle. I think it came out around 1990 or 1991, which is right about when the Super Nintendo had just came out. So,
Yeah.
the NES released games all the way up until 1996, which is crazy. But that is, one of the later games in the system's life cycle.
So what's it about?
So basically, you're playing as this kid. I think his name is Mike Jones. It's like a super generic. so the game did not come out in Japan. It only came out in the United States and the UK.
Oh, that's
And
very unusual.
yeah, it's so weird because it has this like very forced American theme. Like the main town that you are from is called Americola, like soda. Like, and you
Oh
play as
God.
Mike Jones. He's a star pitcher for his high school baseball team or whatever. And the so it's weird. In the beginning of the game, because you're on like this island and you're looking for your lost father, and the island tribal chief gives you what he calls a star, and like he's like this will be basically your weapon to fight off the enemies. But once you get into a dungeon, you realize that the star he gave you is just a yo-yo. Like it just the icon's a yo-yo. You throw it, it comes back and forth. And so I'm wondering like why the heck did they even call us a star? So I read online that yo-yo is actually like a licensed name, and they lost the license to actually use the term yo-yo in the game, so they just changed it to star.
So, so hold up. So, it's a yo-yo.
Yeah,
Are we allowed to call it a yo-yo? I know I don't have a license to the yo-yo
I
name.
assume so. I mean, I call it yo-yo when I was playing it.
Yeah, but
Um,
okay, but yeah, okay. So yo-yo is like the brand of toy that it is. But what do you call? What can you call a yo-yo if you can't call it a yo-yo? Like,
I don't know.
oh man. Okay, so
Plastic string,
elastic string. It's not even elastic. It's just a regular string.
plastic.
Oh, okay, plastic. Okay, but
Yeah.
oh god. So they called it a star. So it could have been called Yo-Yo Tropics, potentially.
No, because Star Tropics was still like the title that it came out as. So yeah, I don't know.
But
I didn't do a lot of research.
but okay, hold on. I feel like I've got like millions of charts and figures and maps, and I'm like smoking like so many cigarettes. So like it could have been a star, but it's not a star. So it's a yo. Oh god, this is hurting my brain, Justin.
Yeah, I can't really explain it, so I'm just gonna move on.
Yeah. Oh god.
Yeah, so it's pretty contemporary. The items you get to fight enemies with is like a baseball bat or the yo-yo or those, I don't know what you would call it. It's like there's two plastic balls that they're attached by a string. I guess if you throw it, I think there's like a game called Horse Nuts or something. It's like horseshoes. Have you ever seen that? You throw this thing against like a stick.
And they like it like spins in the air and it like wraps
Yeah,
around.
yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. I never knew it was called horse nuts before.
I think I don't know. I never really played it. But,
You're just assuming.
no, I've heard it. I've heard it referenced as that, but I don't know if that was like a slang term for it or whatever. I don't know. But that thing is in the game. And yeah, it actually plays a lot like a Zelda game where there's a world map. You move around the world map. There's towns. You talk to people. There are dungeons that you go into. And when you enter a dungeon, the gameplay perspective kind of shifts a little bit. Like a world map, you're kind of very tiny walking around the map, like an old school RPG style kind of thing. But when you enter the dungeon, your sprite is like a lot bigger and a lot more detailed, and you can move around, you can attack, you can jump. You have to jump on these platforms to open doors, and you fight enemies in the dungeons. And as you would imagine, the game's really hard. I'm actually surprised I made it to the fourth dungeon, the boss of the fourth dungeon, and that's where I kind of stopped playing. But
Right.
even getting there was hard. I mean, the second boss is like this squid monster. That took me like a million tries to try and beat, just to get the pattern down to avoid his like ink attacks. Um, and again, it's not impossible, but what's frustrating is you have a few lives, and when you game over, uh, well, even when you just die, when you lose a life, you go back to like your last checkpoint, which was like halfway through the dungeon. So you have to do half the dungeon again to get back to the boss. When you game over, you go back to your last save, which is before you even enter the dungeon. So you have to do the entire dungeon again to get to that boss again. And it's so exhausting because like the first time I fought, like I finally made it to the boss of that dungeon. I was like, all right, I'm here. Oh my god, what do I do? And there's like this giant fire monster shooting these like laser fireballs at me and stuff. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And I'm dead instantly. And it's game over. And I have to do everything all over again. So yeah, as you can tell, I got pretty frustrated with that.
I can imagine so. Yeah. Ugh. NES games.
Yeah. So yeah, that's that. It's definitely fun. It's hard. The controls are really weird in that game because, well, when you're moving, if you press left or right, Mike will turn left or right, but won't move left or right. You have to press left or right again to actually start moving that direction. So if you want to move right, you press right once for him to turn and face right. Then you gotta like press right again to have him actually start moving. So when you're being chased by like enemies and stuff, of course the clunky controls, will be a problem and you'll die because of it. And yeah, it's also very frustrating.
That's just stupid.
It is stupid. You know what, Chris? It is stupid.
Yeah, sometimes it's just best simply stated. That's just dumb.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the other NES game I was playing, which is Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link.
What?
Yeah.
Are you a crazy man?
Yep. So, yes. um, I started playing it because Butch is actually playing it right now. He got the NES Classic, and he's been playing it. And he was telling me about it, and he's like, it's really not as bad as you think. There's people you talk to in town to tell you where to go. Like, it's really not that bad. And he's like, you know what? Get your Switch. You're playing it right now. So I was like, all right, whatever, fine. So I grabbed my Switch, started playing it, and he, for the most part, is pretty right. Like, I had the actual Zelda 2 cartridge for my NES, and I played it a bunch as a kid. But I just remember it being so hard. I had no clue where to go. I was dying all the time, and I just, the game has a reputation of being incredibly difficult, and it is. I mean, don't get me wrong. So I never really had that intuition to go back in there and start playing it again. But with Butch, who's been like my rock here, he's kind of like my guiding light, because I've been playing it. I'm getting frustrated. He's like, hey, come on, man, like just like think about this, go here, try this out. And I'm like, oh wow, that worked. Oh hey, I did beat this. Oh, maybe it's not so hard. I'm getting pretty far. I'm on the third palace, I think, of it right now, which is farther than I've ever made it trying to play it before.
Yeah, I've never gotten very far in Adventure of Link without a walkthrough. If we're being perfectly honest, it is a challenging game, but Butch is right. It's not that bad. It's a little just. It's not very clear on where to go or what to do necessarily, but the game itself really is not that bad, and I'm really glad you brought it up, because especially when you see like people putting together lists where they rank the Zelda games, Adventure of Link is always either at or very close to the very bottom of those lists, where people are like, yeah, this game is trash, it's garbage. It's really not. Like for what it is, the game is pretty solid. Like it's really well. It's pretty well built. Like it can be fun, but it's just a little tricky to navigate. Like it's not a bad game by any means.
Yeah, definitely. And the RPG elements that they introduce in it are like really creative and cool and pretty innovative for that time. Just getting the experience and leveling up and getting stronger, and just some of the moves in it, like turning into a fairy and getting across the screen, and having like a super high jump, like some pretty unique stuff to the whole Zelda franchise. And it's fun, and it's another one of those games with a lot of pattern recognition and doing things over and over and learning and taking your time and getting better. Knowing when to use certain abilities, and exploring, like a lot of really cool stuff. It's definitely frustrating. You definitely have to be patient. I know there are parts that are really insane that you might need to walk through to get through, or somebody who can kind of guide you. Which Bush was helping me out with a little bit, but it's not as stifling as I've always kind of pictured it to be, and I am having a good time despite playing in short bursts because I get too frustrated.
Yeah, that's not a game that you can just kind of breeze through. You got to take your time with that one.
Yeah, but yeah, no, it's a cool experience, and it's cool to see myself getting farther than I thought I ever would playing it, which is pretty fun.
Mm-hmm. Plus, you gain a new appreciation for one of the older classics.
Definitely.
Yeah, how can you hate like Zelda 2 completely, especially when it gave us that classic dungeon music?
Oh man, yeah, the music is really great in that game. I was reading a little bit earlier. Koji Kondo did the music for the first Zelda game, but there was an entirely different crew that worked on Zelda 2, and I don't have the name of the composer of Zelda 2 in front of me, but it was somebody new. And I love the music in the first Zelda. I love the music in the second Zelda. It's just really great and fitting, and that town music's really catchy too.
Yes, it is. Just a lot of stuff is. Yeah, a lot of stuff about Zelda 2 is just really unique and clever.
Yeah.
All right, so anything else?
Yes. Moving on, staying kind of in the Zelda world, I'm playing what's possibly the most egregious, biggest Zelda ripoff of all time right now. This is a game you've probably seen this before. The name you probably aren't familiar with, but once you Google it, you'll probably recognize it. This game's called Oceanhorn, Monster of Uncharted Seas.
Oceanhorn, Monster of Uncharted Seas. Sorry, I'm trying to write this down for our notes later. Monster of Uncharted Seas. That's a mouthful.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it definitely is. Yeah. If you Google it real quick, you'll see some of the screenshots. It's basically a cartoony style Zelda game that does not at all try to hide its influence. The main character looks like Link. He's wearing a blue shirt that's very similar to the champion's tunic. He rides around in a red boat.
Oh, come on!
Incredibly similar to the King of Red Lions.
Oh, look at this! Oh, come on!
There's dungeons, there's bombs, there's arrows, there's mid-bosses, there's master keys.
The button layout, the hearts, the magic meter, the art design, like the little designs on the jugs that he's breaking.
And the shield.
The shield. Oh, man, this is...
The shield looks a lot like the Sheikah slate, or the Sheikah eye.
Oh, my God, look at this sailing on the seas with an island in the background. Oh man, this just Lord, this is like it's okay to be influenced by Zelda. Yeah. Like that's fine, but this is just a complete ripoff. Oh Lord.
Yeah, I'm surprised there hasn't been like legal action towards this game because it is just so similar. But I did a little bit of research here. It's developed by a Finnish studio called Corn Fox and Bros.
That
That's
is
such a
that is
great
an
name.
awesome name. All right, I will give them credit there. That is an awesome name.
The game started as an iOS game. This was a mobile game first. In 2013, it came out, and later was ported to consoles, which right now I'm playing on PS4. This came out, I think, in 2016 on the PS4. So, really surprising fact about this game is that some of the soundtrack is done by Kenji Ito of Secret of Mana fame and
Really?
Nobuo Uematsu from Final Fantasy fame.
What?
Yeah, so I have no clue how this Finnish game developing studio got these two involved. They didn't do all the soundtrack, but they did some of it. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's a huge selling point for the game. It definitely piqued my interest. But I guess the main reason I picked this up was curiosity. I wanted to see exactly how much of a Zelda ripoff it is. And plus, I just love Zelda games. So even if it's not a Zelda game and it's trying to be a Zelda game, I'll probably have fun playing it. I just love that dungeon crawling, like adventuring sort of gameplay. So
Right.
it definitely is a lot like Zelda in a lot of cases, but in some areas it's a little bit unique. I'm having fun with it. It's bland for sure. You gotta remember it was a mobile game, so it doesn't have like the greatest controls. They're a little stiff. The physics are weird. The graphics they're nice, but they're a little plain. And like the characters are all kind of a little boring. Oh, that's another thing. It's a huge ripoff. Of the two major towns I've been in, one the race is called the Auru, which are basically like giant bird people, like in Zelda.
Huh.
And then the next one was I don't know their names, but they're fish people that look exactly like the Zoras from Ocarina of Time.
Oh God. They have Beamos, like the Beamoses, like the giant eye statues that shoot beams
Yeah.
at you. They've got those. Oh Lord, this is just. It's not even. You're right. Like they're not even trying to hide it.
Yeah, some of the differences. There is like an interesting little experience aspect to the game where you can level up and unlock new abilities just by collecting enough of these like little diamond gem things to reach the next level. The way you move around on the boat is different from Wind Waker. It feels like a very dumbed down Zelda with a few fresh ideas here and there. And I don't think this is a good game, but I find myself kind of just like completely zoning out and playing it and like not having a bad time, So I guess I like it in that regard. But overall, yeah, I mean, it's just I wouldn't recommend this to anybody. I can't really explain why I'm even playing it right now. But some nights when I'm like super tired or whatever, I'll just kind of like sit there and just totally zone out and like get through a few dungeons or whatever. And in that regard, I'm enjoying it. But yeah, it's definitely a strange one.
I can't imagine a more bland like subtitle than Monster of Uncharted Seas.
Well, there's a sequel coming out as well. If that makes you feel any better.
It doesn't. But maybe maybe we don't even just need to talk about that one.
All right, yeah, but that's all for that. I played some more Smash Bros. Talked about that already, and aside from one game, I have reached the end of my list here.
Yes. So that is all the games that you wanted to play. But Justin, you had one last game that you had to play. And that, of course, leads us into the Indie Arcade.
Indie Arcade.
If you remember from last time, I assigned Justin the game in absentia. I assigned you Bad Rats, The Rat's Revenge. I already know that there's no way this is like a good game, but so Justin, tell us all about Bad Rats.
Here's a clue: the game has the word "bad" in the title.
So maybe that was a ploy. Maybe that was just like, hey, we'll tell people it's bad, but it's actually really good.
It's a bad game, but it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. It's definitely not one of the worst indie arcade games I've ever played. Presentation-wise, though, it might be. The graphics are atrocious. I mean, they look like they're coming out of like a early '90s CD-ROM game.
Yeah, this is it's ugly.
Yeah, it's very, very ugly. When I loaded the game for the first time, it popped up in a like maybe 2-inch by 2-inch window, and I was like, wow, that's really small. Let me just maximize it. And there was no maximize button, and I was like, oh no. But once I got it to the options menu, I could bring it all the way up to like 1240, which still wasn't big enough, but I guess enough to play the game. Actually, 1240 was a little too tall for my monitor, so I had to bring it down to like 10 or I don't know, 880 or something ridiculous. I don't know. It was very small, but I was still playing it that way. Yeah, the game's atrocious looking. The purpose of the game is you are these rats, and basically you're taking out your revenge on the cats by kidnapping them, chaining them down to a ball and chain, and then just brutally murdering them.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh God.
This game's kind of twisted and pretty gory, actually, surprisingly.
Really?
With really horrible blood graphics.
Ugh.
But, yeah. The cat is horrifying. It looks like if Heathcliff the cat was like put through a machine that was going to transform him into a human being, but with about 15% of the process in, something went wrong and the machine malfunctioned, and he just kind of came out looking like that. Yeah.
Ugh. Oh God.
He's got like a human nose. It's very, very weird looking cat.
Just Heathcliff comes out, kill me.
Yeah, pretty much. So the actual like gameplay is kind of a little bit fun and sort of clever. It's a physics puzzler game where you have to get a bouncy ball to a certain part of each stage to interact with something that will eventually brutally kill the cat.
God.
And you're basically there are multiple ways to get that ball from point A to point B. You pause the level, you insert different objects that can change the trajectory of the ball or have different effects on the ball, and then you hit the play button to see if what you have set up will work to help get that ball to that point.
Okay.
Yeah, some of the things you can add are like, boxes and planks to angle stuff on. There are different mouse characters that you add that have different abilities. Like there's a baseball mouse that swings his bat to hit the ball. There's a mouse with a vacuum that can like suck up the ball and like move it up the map if you needed to. There's a mouse with a tractor that can like push the ball. There is a incredibly racist kamikaze mouse that has a turban and a beard and bomb straps. Yeah, no, I'm serious. I'm 100% serious.
Oh no.
Yeah. I was pretty alarmed when I saw that.
Oh God,
there is there's a mouse with a rocket strapped to him that like will fly up in the air and like move the ball. Yeah, these mice want this cat dead so badly that they are willing to kill themselves in the process of getting this cat dead. It's bizarre.
Man, revenge is a messy game.
Like, you can like, let's say you put the tractor mouse on the top of the screen and you hit the play button and he kind of falls off the edge of the screen. He'll just fall and crash into the ground and explode, and like blood and like mouse guts will go flying everywhere.
Oh, God.
It's just like so ridiculous.
Oh, gross.
Yeah, but it's kind of cool because you can do different things to get the result, basically to end the level. Like, let's say I put the baseball mouse in front of the ball, and I put a plank in front of him so he kind of hits the ball up the plank, and then the ball travels to this switch that causes the guillotine to come down on the cat and slice it in half and win the level, because that's the goal of each level. But then once you beat the level, there's an option to see the recommended way of how I guess the developers would do it. And if you click on that, it will show what they did, and it will play it and show you how they did it. But it was weird because sometimes I would click like the recommended way, and they would have this whole thing set up, and it wouldn't work. Like, it failed, and I'm just staring at the screen like where nothing happened because it failed. It's really strange.
So how closely does this game adhere to the laws of physics?
For the most part, it's really not too bad. Like, and it gets kind of tricky where like I have to angle some shots where there was one level where I had the baseball mouse hit the ball up into the air, and then I had the cannonball mouse, which is like a Evel Knievel mouse. He's like in a cannon. I had him set pointed to where the ball was going to be, but also set a timer for him to basically fire in 10 seconds, right? So like, I'll get the ball where I want it to be in 10 seconds, and then I'll have the mouse fire out of the cannon and hit the ball, and then, redirect the ball to where it needs to go to kill the cat. And, it actually works pretty well. The physics are pretty impressive for this game.
So these mice have cannonballs, and they have bats, and they have all these other weapons at their disposal.
Yes.
Why do they have to go through the whole rigmarole of putting together these physics-based traps to kill the cat when they could just use those weapons to kill the cats?
The only answer I have for you is that they're very sadistic little fucks, and they want like everything to be complex, and they want to get this weird, like, I don't know, physics-based puzzle to actually initiate this weird Rube Goldberg death machine like working to kill this cat in horrific ways.
Yeah, I mean, that's
yeah.
sick. These are really sick rats, man.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. I played about 10 levels of it. Basically, got the gist of it.
Did you follow the Laney rule?
Oh yeah, I played for about an hour.
All right.
The music is like this really stupid. It doesn't match the game at all. It's like this stupid, campy, like doo, 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 like happy, like music. It's this horrible concoction of this, I don't know, unimaginable horrors going on.
That's just creepy.
Yeah, no, it's really weird. And like the songs are maybe like a minute long, and they just kind of stop and switch to the next track in the middle of a level. It's yeah. The whole presentation is rather sloppy.
Oh god. Man, so did you enjoy it?
Well, it was surprisingly kind of fun.
Oh.
So.
Oh, interesting. I gotta say,
I think I did. I wish it was just done so much better. I'm sure there are thousands of games like this, these puzzle-based or physics-based puzzle games that are just a lot better than this one. But overall, I was enjoying myself. So I guess put that one in the win column.
I guess.
I don't want to play it again.
I mean, I think we have to put it in the loss column just because of the racist rats all by themselves.
Yeah, that was very strange. We'll just leave it as forgettable.
Forgettable. Let's forget it ever happened.
But yes, I made it through, and we come to the funnest part of the pod.
I mean, from a certain point of view.
So that Bad Rats was a game, certainly.
It was, yes.
I thought it would be fun if you and me played a little game right now, Chris. What do you say to that?
Right now? Here?
Right now.
Oh man, I am not prepared. But yes, let's do this. All right, let's throw down. You want to play games? You want to play games, motherfucker? Let's do this. Let's throw down. I'll kick your ass.
You know, I have decided to basically let you pick your poison here, Chris, after assigning me Bad Rats. I am bringing up the list, the aforementioned list of terrible games
the capital
that
T
was provided to me.
The capital T, capital L list.
Yes, this list was provided to me by an unnamed source, and here's how it's going to work, okay? There are 12 games on this list.
Oh, boy.
All right? Number 3 was Dinner Date. You've played that already. All right, so that cannot be selected. Of the remaining 11 games, 3 of these are identified with a subtext of this game actually looks like a good game. So, according to this person, of these 11 remaining games, 3 of them actually could be good games.
Okay.
So, I am going to put the ball in your court here. I want you to choose a number from 1 to 12 that is not 3. And whatever you select, that will be the game that I bring up the page and read and assign to you.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, this...
Take your time.
This is barely a game. This is just chance. This is just random chance. This is...
Well, let's just say it's more of a game for me than for you.
Oh, you son of a bitch. All right. Oh, God. Okay. Oh...
You got about a 30% chance of picking something that's pretty good.
You know what? The number 9 keeps jumping out at me right now. I'm gonna go with number 9.
Is that your final answer?
That is my finalist of final answers.
All right. Well, there is a note next to this game, and it says, "Actually looks like a good game."
Hey.
But Chris might have nightmares.
Oh boy. All right. Well, I'm very interested to hear what my assignment is.
All right. Well, your game is on Steam.
Mm-hmm.
It is available for $4.99.
Oh man, that's not great.
It has very positive reviews, so I guess it could be good.
Oh no! Wait! Oh no! Wait a minute! If it has very positive reviews, it's $4.99. Is this a porn game?
No, it is not.
Oh, thank God.
Chris, your game is called Granny.
Granny?
Welcome to Granny.
Oh, Christ!
Granny keeps you locked in her house, and she will not let you go. You wake up in a dark room. You have a headache, and it feels like someone have hit you in the head. The only thing that lights up the room is your flashlight lying on a table. The main door is covered with different locks, and now you have to search the house and find keys and other objects to unlock the door and escape this house. But you have to be careful, because Granny hears everything, and if you drop something on the floor or walking on creaking floor, she will start running to the place she heard that sound.
Jesus Christ.
You also need to watch out for her bear traps and other things lurking in the dark.
Bear
like
traps?
Her pets, for example. You can hide in wardrobes and coffins, but be careful that she does not see you when you are hiding.
Isn't that a good thing?
Listen to these recent updates to version 1.2. You have bigger house to explore. Granny has a new rusty car.
How does that make
New
sense?
Pet. Now another way to defend yourself from Granny and fix some small bugs.
Oh, God. Folks, this is an audio-only podcast. And be grateful, because, my goodness, Granny is just horrifying looking. She's got burnt skin. She doesn't... I don't think she has lips. So her teeth are just constantly bared all the time. And her eyes are like pure white. Oh man, I'm not a fan of this.
She's got like a bloody baseball bat, I guess.
Granny gives you 5 days in the house, but you can earn an extra day if you do something for her. If you have failed to escape after the last day, well, probably you can figure out what happens then. Good luck. Oh, man. God damn it. This sucks.
Well,
look at this shit. She's got a guillotine in her basement. Who has a guillotine in this day and age?
Again, very positive reviews.
Oh my God.
Granny.
Oh man, there's one of the screenshots has like a crib and there's like a ghost right next to it. This sucks. Justin, this sucks.
What's happening? And there's one screenshot where Granny's just like face down on the floor.
Yeah, like did she like trip? There's another where like you're looking up at her and she's just looming over you with that baseball bat. Like,
yeah.
Oh man. Well, I'll see how scary this is. It looks, I mean, just the design of it looks pretty friggin' creepy. Now, given that, the character design looks scary, but the textures and everything looks very low poly. Like, it's not high res whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I'll see how this is, but, yeah, so, thanks for this.
All right, well, remember, you did this to yourself.
I mean, you're right. I've got no one to blame for this but myself. I chose 9. I should not have chosen 9.
Hope you enjoy, and maybe again in the future we'll be playing this game again.
Oh, I doubt it.
All right, with that being said, why don't we take a quick break, and when we come back, we will talk about assist modes, glitches, and cheating, how to progress in a game.
Oh, baby.
Welcome back to Press A Repeatedly. Justin Thomaso here with Chris Gold. And Chris, what are we talking about now?
Justin, we're talking about cheating. Yes, that we are talking about. Thank you for that dramatic gasp.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we are going to be talking about cheating in video games. Kind of like how long cheating has been a part of video games, what cheating actually entails, and specifically we'll get a little topical and talk about whether games like Sekiro or, jumping off that, Dark Souls or Bloodborne, whether they need easy modes to be accessible to gamers in general. So we're gonna get into that in just a second. But Justin, let me just ask you: have you ever disgraced the good name of video games by using cheat codes or glitches, or God forbid, a game genie, to ever gain an advantage in a video game?
That's what I was going to say. Absolutely. Not only have I cheated in games, I have used money to purchase a device to help me cheat more in games. Nick and I had a Game Genie for the Super Nintendo growing up. That came with a whole book of different codes to use for games. You got to remember, too, that, back in the early days of gaming, cheating was a big part of game. Codes were a huge thing, They were developed into the games, There was something extra to find, through word of mouth, or maybe through, gaming magazine and, code sections, or the early, gaming websites, like Cheat Code Central. The Konami codes, one of the most famous, cheating codes that was ever in video games. Stuff like the Game Genie, Game Shark. It was just kind of an aspect of playing games. Even in hardware, you saw controllers with turbo buttons that kind of, would mash the A button continuously for you, so you could fire faster or move faster.
Hell, the Turbo Graphics, that whole console was built around the idea of using the turbo button.
Yeah, definitely. I have. We had the Game Genie. I bought a Game Shark for the Dreamcast, which is funny. I don't even remember how that worked. I have done it. I don't think I've ever specifically used it to beat a game. I know that I've done it, obviously for fun. Wouldn't it be cool if I had 1 million lives, or if I could jump really high or something like that.
Right.
But yeah, I don't think I've ever used codes for the sole purpose of beating a game. It's possible we've done it earlier, just to get farther in a game, maybe, because the games were so hard back then. Using I think the Infinite Lives code is probably the biggest one that you would use just to help get farther through a game, in games like Contra or Life Force or something like that.
Oh yeah, games like especially Contra. Contra was a very, very difficult game, to the point where a lot of people believe, not incorrectly, that you need the Konami code just to have a chance to beat Contra. And you pretty much hit all the nails on the head. Cheating or cheat codes were just a huge part of the early gaming scene. Whether it was used, you learn a cheat code from kids on the playground, or you get a little cheat book using the Game Genie. I remember when I was younger playing The Sims, and my brother, he would play Sim City all the time. We used cheats in that all the time, specifically cheat codes like "I'm a cheat" that would give you that literally would give you millions and millions of dollars when ordinarily you had to like very slowly build up how much money you could use to spend on upgrading things. And we were like,
Yeah.
nope, we just literally typed in "I'm a cheat" like 10 or 20 different times in a row and just get so much money, and then we would just splurge in building like the most ridiculous things. And
Yeah.
yeah, and I mean, like, we had a blast. I mean, we had a blast. Like, we got a lot of enjoyment out of our game playing, and it was really, it was thanks to those cheats. Like, if we had to grind for a lot of those materials and those resources, we probably would have not enjoyed the game as much as we did, or we probably just would have given up before we had a chance to really enjoy it.
Yeah, and you even see some of that stuff is transferring now. If you look at like I was talking about earlier, I was playing the NES classics on the Nintendo Switch Online. They are purposely releasing versions of some of those games that are called SP versions or special versions that basically start you at a certain point in the game, with higher items like higher health. Basically, make things a little bit easier for maybe newcomers or people who've never been able to get to a certain point in these old games. And it's just like a normal thing that they're doing right now. Which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like, I mean, you've got all these different modes where you can like cheat the game or cheat the system. I know Doom, they have the infinite, the two infamous cheat codes, the God mode and the unlimited ammo, which I mean, combined that pretty much makes you a god. Which, it's in a game like Doom. It's always a good feeling to just run around hell and blow away all the demons. So, it's always been a part of the fabric. It's always been something that has been there. Now, a lot of people wouldn't necessarily use the cheat codes to beat the game. I mean, you certainly could if you were running into a part, especially if you were like struggling to get past one certain section. You might use cheat codes there, but some people, they might relish the challenge and they wouldn't necessarily go for using cheat codes or glitches or anything like that. So, my question to you, Justin, then is, if somebody is using cheat codes or glitches or something like that, are they cheating themselves of the experience of playing the game the way that it was meant to be played, or just enjoying the game? What are your thoughts, just in general?
That's a kind of where a lot of this debate is going on. Like, oh, are you a quote unquote true gamer if you use some sort of assistance to beat a game? And my answer to that question is yes. If you're playing a game, if you're taking time to play a game, yes, you're a gamer. Sure, maybe they haven't beaten it the same way that you might have, but maybe that's not what they're looking for. As we've talked about a lot of times on this pod, time is always an issue, especially as we get older. It's tougher to actually sit down and spend a lot of time playing games, spending a lot of the required time it would take to get better at something, and to recognize patterns and get to a point where you want to be at. So sometimes their assistance is appreciated to help people complete a game and move on to something else. I have no problem with that. There are no rules. If someone says they beat a game using assistance, I don't look at them and say, oh, well, you didn't beat the game technically. It's just that's how they chose to execute it, and we really don't have a problem with that.
Right. I know there are a lot of very challenging games that, I mean, you can certainly adjust the difficulty, or you can use different cheat codes to try to get through them. Probably the best example of this, and I've praised this game to the ends of the earth and back, is Celeste, which is if you were to play the game on regular mode with all the assists turned off and no cheat modes, it is a very, very challenging game. It's one of the hardest games that I've ever played in my life. But the game itself offers assist mode, where you can unlock different abilities that make the game a lot easier, such as you can turn off spikes killing you, so you can literally just run across the spikes if you want to. You can have unlimited dashes, so ordinarily you can only dash once in the air, but you could just dash multiple times to get through different stages. So the game itself provides a lot of different accessibility options to get through the game, so that a lot of players of different skill levels and different stripes can get through the game and say, hey, I beat the game, I have the same experience you did, I know what's on the other side of the mountain. Compared to, say, games, again, like the From Software games like Sekiro or Dark Souls, or even a non-From Software game like Cuphead, where it only has really the one difficulty mode to get through the game, and if you're not good enough to get past certain sections, then you're just not good enough, and you're kind of stuck. So your only option then is to either get better at the actual game itself, which not everybody can do, or you use cheat codes.
Yeah, it's interesting the way some people look at assist modes in such a negative light, but I really, like, if they're there, it's just to get more people, a chance to experience the game, If you are someone who likes the challenge, you don't have to play in assist mode, Whenever I'm playing, like, none of these games aren't necessarily difficult, but, like, Nintendo has been very famous for throwing in some sort of super easy mode to help, like, newcomers basically get into the games. Like, in some of the new Mario Bros. Games, there's items that you can get that you can fly through a whole level completely. In Super Luigi U, you can play as Nabbit, who doesn't get hurt. You just basically run through a level no problem. And, I just won't use that. I know in the Donkey Kong Country games, the newer ones that came out, after you die a few times, like, the pig character will come down and say, hey, do you want to, like, use this ability to get to the end of the level? I have every option to not do that, and I purposely will go out of my way to avoid that. But, for some people, they will want to they will want to take up that opportunity and use that. And, I don't see why there has to be a problem with that. Now, conversely, as you were just speaking of, Chris, games like the From Software games and Cuphead, if there is no assist mode in the game, is that an issue? I don't think so either. I don't think every game has to be made for every player. There are different expectations for some developers. Their vision is, hey, this game. We want you to play it this way. We want you to get better. We want you to try and actually work to become a better gamer, and recognize these patterns and work your way towards the end of the game. And if that's what they want, that's what they want. You don't have to play that game if you don't want to. I don't think there needs to be some sort of mode for everybody. I just don't think it's a necessary thing that has to be in games.
Right. My counter to that, though, is a lot of gamers out there who have disabilities, who might not be able to play the games the way that they were initially intended to be played. We've talked about it before, like when Microsoft, they came out with that special new controller that a lot of people with disabilities could be able to play. We both praised that as a great step forward for accessibility. So I
Absolutely.
I know you and I both were really big on accessibility. Now, I agree that it's the developer's choice whether they have a game designed to be played in a certain way, and they say, well, this is the way we need this game to be played. If you can't play it or if you can't beat it, then so be it. Um, I don't necessarily think that it's the best idea to just have a game just be completely cut off from people who just can't play or beat a game of such a high caliber. Or again, if a gamer has disabilities and they physically can't play the game the way it was designed, like those From Software games, they require very precise controls and very, very precise button presses that not everyone is capable of. Even at your absolute best, you're not strictly capable of playing the game that way. And you mentioned, like, oh, it's not a game that, not every game is for everyone. And that may be true, but it just sucks that there may be gamers out there who want to play Sekiro, or they want to play Bloodborne or something like that. They want to be, because it's the game everyone is talking about right now. Like, you look on Twitter, all the articles, everyone's like, "Oh, Sekiro! This game is so great! Sekiro, Sekiro, Sekiro!" And it's only natural for people to be like, I want to be a part of that. I want to try playing that game, but then you're just told you can't, or physically you can't, and it's like, well, oh well, that sucks. And I mean, I know you can't have an option that pleases everyone or works for everyone, but it just sucks that there's no like that door is just firmly closed, and that there's just no possible way for someone to be able to play a game like that.
That's a fair point. I wasn't looking at it in terms of disabled gamers being unable to play. But if that is the case, what would be something that you would suggest, I guess, to kind of fix that problem?
No, naturally, I'm not a developer, so a lot of the things I'd suggest, like, I don't know how easy they are to implement or put into place, but there could be options to, slow down reaction times a little bit. Maybe make the enemies a little bit slower, make yourself a little bit faster. Just don't require button press. Just have a mode where it, not necessarily an easy mode, but where your reaction times don't have to be as quick as they do in, say, a normal mode of the game. I feel like there are different options. I mean, I only suggested the one, but that's because I'm unimaginative. But there's, I don't know. I just, like, I'm of two minds about it, where I do think that a game like Sekiro, like, it's designed a certain way, and that's the way the developer intended, so you want to fulfill the developer's vision. But on the other end, I look at games like Celeste, where, you can play the game the way the developer initially intended it, but they also leave open a lot of wiggle room where you can ease up a bit on the difficulty. You can make the game so that anyone truly can play it, and it's not something that shuts everyone out of the experience.
Right. Yep, I definitely see what you're saying. Like you said, we're not developers here. We don't know the process. It could take teams a lot longer, than intended to implement some of that kind of stuff that could push release dates back and be kind of problematic with timing with publishers and just getting games out in the windows they're supposed to be out. If that's the case, maybe some sort of DLC down the line, or some sort of mode maybe later that could adhere to that would be nice. I agree. It would be nice to have that option there. What if you want it? But yeah, I know. I just don't know if it's, not to sound like a jerk or anything. I just don't know if it's always a logistical thing for a lot of developers to do in time to get certain games out.
Right. And there's there's certainly other ways to go about it. Like the whole theme of our episode today is cheats and glitches, which that's also an option that you can use to play the games. Like Sekiro is a game where I believe it's also available on PC. So there are mods available for the game where you can slow down your character, you can slow down the enemies. In fact, what kicked off this whole debate in the first place was an article on PC Gamer that is literally titled, "I beat Sekiro's final boss with cheats and I feel fine."
Yeah.
Yeah, so the author of that article, he used cheat codes to play Sekiro and beat it, and you know what? He was able to see what the game had to offer. He was able to experience it, and like he pointed out at the very end of the article, you can quote, "do what you want. It's a personal computer." Who ultimately is cheated from the experience by using the cheat codes to play the game? He beat Sekiro. There's no qualifiers to that. There's no but this and that. No, he beat it. Like, he got through it. And and especially in this day and age when so many games are coming out. You have to make time somewhere to play what you want.
Yeah, like you said, it's this personal preference, If you want to argue somebody, they didn't beat it because they used codes or whatever, that's on you. A lot of people probably just wouldn't care what you had to say at that point.
Right.
But really, it's just back to you, and you play the game how you want to play it, and you beat the game how you want to beat it. As long as, whoever purchases the game with their money gets the enjoyment out of it that they want, that's pretty much all that really matters there. This isn't a competition, there aren't stakes, there's no titles or anything, involved here. It's just, somebody wants to play a game and wants to enjoy it, so they are fully able to do that however they want.
Yeah, as long as you're using the cheats, like, for your own enjoyment, playing like a single player experience. Multiplayer experience, that's very different. Especially if you're playing against someone else, like online or whatever, and you're using cheats, then you're robbing someone else of their fun by gaining an unfair advantage. But if you're just playing a single player experience and it's just you, then go nuts.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's still an issue in a lot of multiplayer games. I know a lot of developers are really working hard to do their best to kind of ban that sort of stuff.
Yeah, but, I don't think that's ever going to go away, though.
Yeah, it's just kind of out of their control for most parts. But, in terms of this discussion here, we're talking mostly about single player. And, play the game how you want to play it. Beat the game how you want to beat it. Give up if you want. No one's going to stop you. And
exactly.
People, your friends might rag you or whatever, but ultimately, it's your decision how you want to play. If you want to beat it, if you don't, if you want to move on to something else, all these things are up to you, really. So,
yep.
Just do what you want to get the best enjoyment out of it.
Games are inherently fun, so just have fun, however that fun is.
Let me tell you folks about a little thing called pulling a Justin. You see, basically, you start playing a game, and then you just kind of, play it for a few hours, and then just never play it again. And that is something that I have done multiple times throughout my career, and I continue to do so. And you know what? I'm still here. I still feel okay about it. And if there's stuff that I, feel bad that I didn't beat and want to go back and beat, I'll go back and beat it. And if there's stuff that I don't want to play anymore, I'm totally cool with it. So, again, it's just your own personal enjoyment.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many games I've Justined over the years. Too many to count.
Literally, term was coined, after me.
Yep, it was named after you. You are the trope creator. You're the trope originator.
Not proud of it, but that's just how it goes.
All right. Well, what do you say we get out of here? I've got quality time with Granny I got to spend.
Hey, this was a great episode. Really great discussion. And it's good to be back.
Yeah, good to have you back. I don't miss Lewis as much as I thought I would.
He's always there in spirit.
He's always there right behind me.
And with that, that's going to be it for this week. Remember, Press A repeatedly posts new episodes Tuesdays on iTunes, Google Play, Podbean, YouTube, and Spotify. If you like what you hear, please take a moment to rate and review the show or tell your friends about us. It helps other people find the podcast and will really help us grow. And thank you to all who have rated, reviewed, and subscribed so far. We love you.
You can follow us on our Facebook page or on Twitter and Instagram. We are at PAR_podcast. I'm at cgold113, and Justin is at oaf7724. You can email us any questions or comments at parpodcast@gmail.com. That's parpodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget to check us out on our website at pressarepeatedly.com. That's all for this week. Chris and Justin signing off. And remember to cycle through numerous rapid-fire weapons to fell a mechanical overlord. Press A repeatedly.